So, what role can government, industry, academia, and startups play in building this flexible, future-ready AI ecosystem, especially when it comes to skilling and training? Since we're talking about this, a young talent. So, how can we, how can the government and industry they can come together?
I mean, it's already happening, right? Industry, if you look at how, um, at least the tech industry and a lot of other large industries, one of their biggest investments today is in the reskilling of their workforce. So this is already happening. Government and industry are collaborating to help accelerate the momentum. And my last organization, NASCOM, we had worked with government to create Future Skills, which is a platform designed to reskill the tech workforce, right? So that was being supported by Government of India, by MIT, right? Is still being supported. So there's a lot of collaboration what's going on. Industry is creating new content. They're upgrading curriculums. I think everybody understands the urgency. But I think if there's one change that's needed, we need a whole of government approach to this to the talent challenge that we have, because we do have a lot of good work, but again, it happens in silos, it's fragmented, and therefore the impact doesn't scale at the speed and, to the extent it needs to.
It needs to come in the front.
So that's why the AI talent mission that has been proposed by M.Phil is to really create that whole of government approach, and bring in the agility, the empowerment to drive the change that is needed.
And ma'am, since we're talking about AI for Viksit Bharat Roadmap, India's AI Impacts Summit, which is going to happen in February, I'm sure a lot of audience is interested in knowing about that. Could you give us a little overview of the summit's main goal and why it is called as India AI Impact Summit?
Yeah, that's something I think we all are very proud of, because the AI Summit started around 4 years back, right? The first one happened in UK, in Bletchley Park, where the focus was on safety. And one of the key deliverables or outcome of that summit was everyone agreeing to create the safety institutes across the world to focus on safe AI, safe and trusted AI, which is great. Then you had Korea, then you had Paris last year.
Right.
And I think in Paris, they shifted away from safety and governance. And it was a very, very clear shift that we will now focus on action. So if you remember, the Paris Summit was called AI Action Summit. And as part of action, very interestingly, the dialogue moved not just towards implementation, urgency of implementation, but also the importance of control.
Right.
Which country controls what, right? That was a very interesting narrative that came out of Paris. And I think kudos to our Prime Minister, because when India was thinking about the India Summit, hosting the India Summit, I think it was very clear that the biggest requirement today in the world of AI is impact creation. Otherwise, we are just talking about what AI can do. We keep talking about what it can do, what's the potential, what's the promise. But where's the real impact? And I think that narrative has to change. We have to move from promise of AI to real results. Right. And I think India saying that we are going to call our summit the India Impact Summit sends a very, very strong signal that it is now time to stop, thinking about all the great things AI can do and really get very real about how do we translate this promise into impact, what is needed to create impact.
Right. And it's also happening first in the global south. So in the context of global south and the pressing needs of emerging countries, economies, how can India use this platform to help other developing nations? Can India become the voice of the global south for inclusive AI?
Not can. I think we absolutely must. And this summit has 7 key committees.
Okay.
Right? That's and I have the privilege of co-chairing the committee on economic impact, economic development, and societal good. And my co-chairs are Netherlands and Indonesia. And we have over 40 countries participating in our just our working group.
Okay.
The dialogue, the debate, the discussion. And it's very clear that there is a need to create, to figure out how to unlock the pathways to impact. How every country is doing good work. Again, it's in silos.
Right.
So how do you unlock the pathways that will move impact from silos to scale at a global level? And how do we ensure that everyone's voice is heard? It has to be inclusive. And lastly, how do we ensure that people can learn from each other? Because that will accelerate the journey to impact significantly if we all stop reinventing the wheel and we learn from what's happening around us and then drive a collective action. So I think the need for collective action has come out very strongly, and the need for inclusive agenda where every voice is heard, I think is becoming a key foundation of the work we are doing.
Also, ma'am, the report flags several risks, linked with AI adoption. So, in India's context, what are the key challenges we should be mindful of?
I think the biggest one is the job displacement.
Right.
Because if we don't manage this well, this will be a huge social disruption for the country, given how young our population is.
Right.
So that's what worries me the most. Then, of course, you talk about bias, you talk about cognitive warfare, where you're using AI to create these deep fakes, and this is becoming such a this can challenge in elections in so many countries, etc. So all of these things can come together. The good thing is India, Mighty, has just come out with a very sensible AI governance framework for the country. And I was privileged to be part of that committee. And I really think what India has done with that framework can set the tone for other countries, because I think so far, when you look at all the governance frameworks around the world, I think what we have done tries to achieve a very reasonable and sensible balance between innovation and safety.
Right.
And that's been the most difficult part of working on that committee, is how do you achieve that balance, right? But I think we've done a reasonably good job. And of course, as we keep learning, we will continue to improve. But we haven't gone to the one end of the spectrum where it's all about regulation and then you suddenly find innovation getting stifled.
Right.
Or we haven't gone to the other end of the spectrum where it's completely free to do whatever you want, and then you find citizens' interests being compromised. Right. So I think we've tried to achieve the mid path. So that governance framework will, of course, play a critical role.
Definitely, and because data security and safety is paramount. This is my last question. What will India look like in 10 years because of AI, according to you?
I mean, that completely depends on us and the actions we take today.
Right.
AI is just a tool. AI will do what we want it to do.
Right.
What we decide to do with it. So if it depends on us humans, human accountability is very, very important, and we can't delegate that to AI, right? If we decide and if we take the right actions, we can, in the next 10 years, and in this decade, completely reinvent every single sector across the economy. We can reimagine what productivity will look like for the informal workforce. We can reimagine education in this country. We can reimagine healthcare in this country. We can reimagine governance in this country, so that government and citizens really come together. You talk about citizen centricity. So again, it's not about what AI can do. It's about what we humans want to do with AI. And how hungry are we? How committed are we? And how we are willing to use it in these 10 years, that will decide where we are or where we won't be in the next 10 years.
Absolutely, ma'am. And the AI for Viksit Bharat roadmap is a bold step towards making India a global AI powerhouse. If executed well, it can bridge growth gaps, create millions of future ready jobs, and place India at the forefront of responsible and inclusive AI. With that, we come to the end of this special episode. Ms. Ghosh, thank you so much for your time and for offering such thoughtful insights on this particular topic. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. And to our viewers, thank you for your time as well. Stay tuned and keep watching Sansad TV.